Okay, hello Guild Wars gamers, Muckluck here, and we have got a little bit of Guild Wars news today. They have just updated the Guild Wars 3 website with a new thing down here that says the setting of Guild Wars 3 stepping into ancient ore. And there is a new YouTube video and a blog post. I don't know how much overlap there is between the YouTube video and the blog post, so I will cover both. So some of the stuff that we go over may be repeated at least once during this video. So let's get started. The settings of Guild Wars 3 stepping into ancient ore. A familiar setting in an unfamiliar time. Learn why this era is perfect for veterans and new players alike. Hello Tyrians! What an incredibly exciting last couple of weeks it has been. Our team has been so excited to finally reveal the existence of Guild Wars 3 to the world in our teaser announcement and to talk about the future of the Guild Wars franchise. Now that we've made it past the big reveal, we get to start telling you about all the exciting details of the game we've been working on for several years behind closed doors. This is the first in a series of blogs that will cover an array of topics from now through the launch of Guild Wars 3, giving us a chance to share details about the game, explain the decisions we're making, and provide other insights into what we believe will make this an entirely new and special adventure for MMO players who have been to Tyria before or are joining us for just the first time. If we're going to start at the beginning, it's only fitting that we start with the setting and timeline of our game, which is very much an origin story unto itself. The when and where of Guild Wars 3. Guild Wars 3 begins on the continent of Ore, over 1,000 years before the events of Guild Wars Reforged, which is Guild Wars 1, in a period of time before the human gods left this world. The former god of death has recently been usurped. It's a time before the first Guild War, when hostilities between rival guilds are rising and the Order of the Veil is on the back foot. We believe it's both exciting for existing Guild Wars players and ideal to invite an entire new group of fans to explore. So, just a quick brief on what I know about this topic. So, let me go to the map. This is for, I'm going to say this in a way for new players to also understand, I hope. This is the in-game map for Guild Wars 2. It is slightly different from Guild Wars 1, but is largely the same land masses. Down here, and the part with details is playable area. The foggy part is not playable area, but it is shown on the map. So like there is story there sometimes. So this landmass is Ore, O-R-R. Ore, during Guild Wars 1, but not a thing the players see, this guy casts a spell. I don't know if it was his intent or if he screwed up, but it ended up sinking the whole place to the bottom of the ocean. Kind of like Atlantis, except everybody died. So the whole continent, right here, goes down to the bottom of the sea. Years later, like a couple hundred years later, there's this big dragon named Zaitan. And Zaitan is kind of like the dragon of undeath. And he wakes up and he raises Ore back to the surface. And all the people that were on this continent become undead. So now it's called, in Guild Wars 2, it's called the Ruins of Ore, and it's filled with zombies. It's like Resident Evil over there, okay? So that's basically the super condensed version, all right? So during Guild Wars 1, which was in the year like, they have BE and AE instead of BC and AC. So in the year like 1071, I think, AE, so after the Ascension era, the continent of Ore was sunk to the bottom. That's when Ore was destroyed. So that was like 1070. We're going back to like year 1 or year like negative 200, essentially. Like 200 BC, that kind of thing. So that's Ore, and that is a very brief synopsis of what happens to it in the later parts of the timeline. But we're going back to way before that. Okay, to our existing Guild Wars community, this is a moment in time absolutely loaded with mystery and untold stories that sits at the very heart of the Guild Wars universe. The lands of Ore have tendrils that run deep across the franchise, from the Char invasion and the mysterious Vizier in Guild Wars Reforged, to visiting the formerly sunken ruins of the once great nation raised from the bottom of the ocean floor by the Elder Dragon Zaitan in Guild Wars 2, and this is a picture of Zaitan. Ore is connected to the disappearance of the human gods from our world, the origins of the Guild Wars themselves, and the name behind the entire franchise. It's also related to the rise of Grenth and the fall of Doom. Really quick, Doom was kind of like the god of death, and Grenth basically usurped him and stole his job. So Doom is now still powerful, but he's a boss you can defeat in the Guild Wars 2 game. He's a raid boss. And Grenth is now, like, the god of death, and you never see him. As well as Abaddon's entire story. Abaddon is another godly figure. Entire story arc first explored in Guild Wars Nightfall. So many mysteries, untold stories, and questions across 21 years of tales from Tyria all arise from Or before the exodus of the gods. So there is an event where the gods just decide they're kind of done with mortals in a way, and they leave. They ascend, they go to a higher plane, and they're less involved. That was the Exodus. Though there are massive mysteries and stories to explore, in total we released very little public lore about this timeline and location, because they haven't made it up yet, generally asking more questions than we've answered over the years. We know that for our existing Guild Wars fans, the opportunity to explore the origins of Tyria, to speculate and theorycraft together, and to unravel the mysteries long hidden in Tyria's past will be incredibly compelling. But it's not just a chance to explore some of the big stories lost to history. It's also the opportunity to unveil countless stories we haven't teased before, and characters you've never met that bring the golden age of Or and our timeline to life. For our new fans, we're expanding our reach with Guild Wars 3 and inviting an entirely new generation of gamers to join us for the launch of a new Guild Wars game for the first time. Not only like a new generation, so Guild Wars 2 came out like 14 years ago-ish? And so we're going to get people coming into the franchise that have not played the previous games, coming back to the franchise who have fond memories of the previous games, currently playing one of the games, and they're going to try Guild Wars 3 because they already like one of the Guild Wars games. And there's also the console players, because this will be the first one that's released on something that's not just PC. We're also inviting players to join us at launch on a broader set of platforms from day one, not just our own ArenaNet platform. Players on PS5, Steam, and our standalone client. This is the first time they've mentioned this that I know of. Will be able to join those playing on their ArenaNet accounts from the very beginning, making this by far the largest day one launch in Guild Wars franchise history. Nice. Some people won't care about this. Some people are going to be like, I would just play on Steam. And that's fine. That's totally fine. But, options. More options, more people. So many of us, for a long time, Guild Wars 1 has its own client. Guild Wars 2 had its own client. And then over 10 years after Guild Wars 2 came out, then it was added to Steam. So that's why if you look at Steam and you look at the player count, it's only one slice of the pie. Like, it's not the full picture. It's like if Steam says that there's like 100,000 people, there's actually way more than that, because many of them, I'd say the majority of players are on the standalone client, because for over 10 years, that's the only way that you would install the game. And you can't swap between those. If you're on Steam, you're on Steam, period. You can't swap to the standalone client with that account, and vice versa. So the standalone client for Guild Wars 3 has not been mentioned until this point. So that's good. Some people won't care about that, but it gives options to people that prefer it. Does the wording mean mega cross-platform play? I believe so. Making this by far the largest day one launch in Guild Wars franchise history. Yeah, everything that they have said so far leads me to believe that the console and the PC players will be playing together on the same servers. This timeline is one that's new for everyone and doesn't require you to have played any previous Guild Wars game to understand what's going on. Very little recorded history about this era exists in Guild Wars canon today, and very little of it in total has been explored in Guild Wars Reforged or Guild Wars 2. Right, so as a veteran, I know that we are going back to this landmass 1,000 years before, when I presume it is still, lush with plant life and it's all pretty and stuff like that. And there's peoples there that I don't know because I've only known them as undead, and cities that I've only seen in ruins, and stories to tell that I have no idea what happened at that time. So yeah, as a veteran player, I'll know that we're going to this landmass. I'll recognize the races probably. Like in the trailer, they showed up bear people. Those are the Khodan. They showed what appeared to be Asura, which are the, if you're not a Guild Wars player, they're kind of like little genius goblin-looking people. That's what this character I'm on right now is. and they showed humans. Now, I'm sure there's going to be more races, and I might recognize them. They might make some up because they kind of have the writer's freedom to just be like, oh, here's a race we're going to make up, but it'll die off when ore explodes later on, so they're never shown in Guild Wars 1 or 2. Like, they could do that if they wanted. Okay, as a brand new player, there's no better time to start playing Guild Wars for the first time. What's a human? Our commitment to Tyria. Another major reason we picked this timeline is because it fits our mission to support all of our Guild Wars games into the future. Last week, ArenaNet's leadership team updated the community about our plans to support all 3 Guild Wars games for years to come, in case you missed it. And there's a video, which I've already covered in a previous video of mine, but the TLDR is they have said even after Guild Wars 3 comes out, they have a separate team. It is not developers splitting their attention. They have a separate team for each of the 3 Guild Wars games that are going to continue making updates going forward. So let's say you're a Guild Wars veteran and you try Guild Wars 3. Sorry, I hit my microphone. If you try Guild Wars 3 and you hate it and you're like, I'm going back to Guild Wars 2, this game sucks, you're still going to get updates for Guild Wars 2. Okay? So hopefully, everyone is appeased to some degree, unless you use Reddit, in which case there's no pleasing you. All right, so we've already covered that video. Guild Wars 2 will continue onward with new content, storylines, characters, and locations beyond the release of Guild Wars 3. Making a game set after the timeline of Guild Wars 2 would ultimately conflict with that goal. It's important to leave room for the setting and characters of Guild Wars 2. With an open runway, we refrain from limiting or constraining the countless stories we want to tell in Tyria in our current Guild Wars 2 timeline, and allow Guild Wars 2 to continue to expand and grow as far into the future as we have Guild Wars fans who want to play it. So there's a few ways they could have done this. Pulling from my own experience, EverQuest released EverQuest 2. And honestly, it wasn't handled very well. Many people thought, like, oh, why should I play this game if the sequel's out? And the EverQuest population took a huge nosedive. But they did stabilize later on, and part of what they did is EverQuest 2 takes place like 500 years after EverQuest 1. And somewhere between there was a thing that was kind of like World of Warcraft's Cataclysm, like the land broke apart. Land masses were created, land masses were destroyed. So, like, the map is quite changed, and some things are underwater, some things were destroyed, some things have been built. But because it was 500 years later, they could still tell stories in both games. And they didn't really impact each other that much, The same races were still in the second game. The same zones, even if, they were changed, were still in that game, stuff like that. So that was how they handled it. And now, here we are years later, EverQuest has 32 expansions. EverQuest 2 has 22 expansions. They're both doing fine. Now, they opted to do it in a different way, but it's kind of the same idea. They will have room to do lots of expansions for Guild Wars 3, or I don't know if they'll ever do another Guild Wars 1 expansion, but if they wanted to, there is still 250 years between Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. They could do another expansion, and as long as something drastic doesn't happen, like a dragon waking up and destroying the land or something, then it's not going to impact Guild Wars 2, but they could still tell more stories during the Guild Wars 1 timeline. Okay, I think I talked enough on that. But before. The timeline we chose for Guild Wars 3 is incredibly exciting for us to build. A storyline and setting that focuses on just one region of the world is a big shift, I almost misread that, holy crap, from the previous Guild Wars game at launch, and a very intentional decision for us. In the past, we've told a lot of stories where the stakes kept getting bigger and bigger, often centered around threats that spanned the entire world. Those stories have been an important part of Guild Wars, but as we started thinking about the future, we found ourselves more interested in a different kind of experience. Guild Wars 3 begins from a much more grounded place. It's a story about ore, about the people who live there, and about a guild trying to find its place in a world that's full of opportunity, tension, and change. That doesn't mean that stakes are less compelling. It means they're closer and more personal. Instead of threats being distant or abstract, the things that you do have a more immediate impact on the world around you. You'll see the results of conflicts play out at the places you spend time in, and over time your relationship with those places, and most importantly the people who live there, will start to evolve. And this is a picture of Balthazar. He's kind of a god of war and fire and magma and stuff like that. There's a faction of humans that worship him. I don't know why, they're insane. Focusing on ore as our starting point also lets us approach the world in a different way than we have in the past. Rather than spreading across multiple regions right away, we've been able to spend time going deeper, building a version of ore that's more layered, more detailed, and more interconnected than anything we've done before. So let's talk about this for just a second, going back to the Guild Wars 2 ore map. In Guild Wars 2, what we have in ore is currently 1, 2, 3, 4 zones that make up that, and then this door here leads to a dungeon, which I believe is actually located right here lore-wise. So quite a few people I have heard have shared the concern, like, is that going to be enough content? And one, they could just expand it. They could change the scale of it quite easily. I've also, one thing that I mentioned once was like, do you guys remember Blackreach in Skyrim? And if you didn't play Skyrim and you're only Guild Wars 2 player, the big underground area under Silver Waste. My point is, they could do any number of things to make the playing area larger. Like 1, increasing the scale, 2, having a large underground, 3, having a bunch of dungeons that have their own separate maps, 4, they could be like, you get on a boat and it's a fast travel screen and suddenly you're over here and then you've got an adventure over here. You know, like there's a lot of things they can do to expand the playtime in this area. I don't really think that that's going to be a concern. Okay, you'll find a more seamless world with fewer loading screens than previous Guild Wars games. It's a much more continuous space. And oh, really? So I was totally fine either way, but that's interesting. World of Warcraft is one huge map. There's no loading screen if you go from there to there, okay? Guild Wars 2 does have loading screens. Like this rectangle is a zone. This rectangle is a zone. This rectangle is a zone, and so on. If you go from one zone to another, there's a loading screen. They're pretty fast, but they are there. You're not going to get on a flight path and ride a griffin and just go over everything seamlessly. It's just not that kind of game. Now, I have played games where it's seamless, like WoW, and I have played games where there's loading screens, like Guild Wars 2, and I am fine either way as long as it's done well. It doesn't really bother me either way. However, that's interesting that they opted to go that route, because they haven't done that before. As you'd expect in a world that we can continue to build on and evolve in meaningful ways as the game grows. The game systems and content are designed to deliver gameplay depth. The world is designed to reward curiosity, exploration, and most of all, return visits where you can find entirely new experiences in places your character has previously adventured. I wonder if that means they're going to have like the event system that Guild Wars 2 has, where you go to an area and different events are happening every couple of minutes, and whether they succeed or not will change what happens like for the next few minutes, and so on and so on. I wonder if it's going to be like that. Ore is where we're beginning this journey, but not where it ends. As we look to the future, we're excited about the opportunity to expand our horizons and explore more of Tyria in this era, both the places you already know and others we've only ever hinted at before. Okay, cool. So, along with this blog post, by the way, I have no idea what these are. You know those big, like, arches that are in ore? I see this, and I wonder if they're actually round and they're half buried in the ground. Huh. Ore's onion rings. There's no idea what they do, but that's very interesting. Okay. So we've got a video that was posted at the same time as the blog post. Again, this might be repeating the information I just gave you. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. So let's watch it together and see what happens.
Hi everyone, Colin here, Guild Wars 3 Game Director. I want to welcome you to our first look behind the scenes on Guild Wars 3. We want to invite you into the studio with the team at ArenaNet to share with you how and why we make decisions about Guild Wars 3 and some of the exciting details about the game. This is the first in a series of videos, blogs, and announcements we'll be sharing, and we hope that as you join us, you'll agree Guild Wars 3 is shaping up to be an entirely new and special MMO for series veterans and newcomers to the Guild Wars franchise alike. Let's start at the beginning. Why set Guild Wars 3 in ore? For newcomers to Guild Wars, it's a fresh start. Both existing...
Oh, real quick, for the newcomers, I'm pretty sure this is the guy that cast the spell that sunk ore. I've seen some art of him.
For newcomers to Guild Wars, it's a fresh start. Both existing games happen after, so it's a clean slate for everyone. And for our existing Guild Wars community, this is an era central to the Guild Wars universe. The lands of Ur have waters that run deep across the franchise, from the Char invasion and the Vizier's connection to Ur in Guild Wars Reforged, to the sunken ruins of the once great nation raised from the ocean floor by the Elder Dragon Zaitan in Guild Wars 2. Ur is where the gods lived and left. So many mysteries, untold stories, and questions across 21 years of games, all
They have a habit of putting sneaky things in their background. And notice there's all this concept art on the wall that's kind of out of focus. My eyes are immediately drawn over here, where there is a bunch of what appear to be artworks of peoples in a line. Now, I've said before, chat, I don't think we're only getting 3 races. It's just an odd number for races, right? So right now we're thinking we got humans, Asura, and Kodan. I'm expecting 1 or 2 more. Like 4 or 5 at minimum, right? So I'm wondering if somewhere up here is some more races that they haven't shown.
all arise from Ur. We know for our existing Guild Wars fans, the opportunity to explore these formative years, to speculate and theory craft together, to unravel the mysteries long hidden in Tyria's past will be incredibly compelling. But it's not just a chance to experience some of the big stories lost to history. It's also the opportunity to unveil countless stories we haven't teased before, characters you've never met that bring the golden age of Ur to our timeline and to life. To our new community members, welcome to Tyria. We're expanding our reach with Guild Wars 3 and inviting a brand new generation of gamers to join.
Hey, just real quick, again, because I try to make my videos in such a way that new folks can understand. Human, probably human, ears are covered, could be something else. Kodan, the big bear person. Asura, but he's got a beard.
Gamers to join us for this launch, our first in more than a decade. Players on PlayStation 5, on Steam, and around the world will be able to join those playing on their ArenaNet accounts from the very beginning, setting this up to be by far the largest day one launch in Guild Wars franchise history. You will all share the same world together.
Do you think it'll be a smooth launch, chat? I will say, I have been a player for 4 expansion releases in Guild Wars 2. And I would say that 3.5 of them went well. Like, they went super silky smooth. There was one that had some hiccups. But most of them, the launches were silky smooth. But this will be their first time doing a day one launch on multiple platforms at the same time. A lot could go wrong, but fingers crossed.
And as this timeline is one that's new for everyone, you don't need to have played any Guild Wars.
This right here makes me think if this is a hint to the party size. Right now in Guild Wars 2, your max party size is 5 people. I am wondering if this is a hint that max party size is 4. Or it's 5 and they're abandoning this guy because they hate him. I don't know.
First game to jump right into Guild Wars 3 and be on equal footing. Of course, if you are a new player and would like to start exploring the Guild Wars universe today, there's no better time than right now. We highly recommend you check out Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 1. We're doubling down on our mission to support all of our Guild Wars.
Dude, reminder to that stat they just shared the other day that Guild Wars 2 player population increased by like 45% because of all the new signups over the weekend after the Guild Wars 3 announcement. Like, the game already had a healthy population, but it got hit with a flood of new people or returning people that are like, okay.
Games into the future. Guild Wars 2 will continue to grow and expand with new content, storylines, characters, and locations to come beyond the release of Guild Wars 3. We are intentionally leaving Guild Wars 2 room to breathe, free from the traditional constraints of a sequel that would follow it. We look forward to telling stories in Tyria far into the future and across several timelines with its epic lore.
Bobby! Okay, seen it. Have not seen it. Have not seen it. You know what this looks like, chat? You know when Shadow Behemoth spawns in Queensdale and those portals open in the swamp? To me, this looks like a person standing there and there's like portals opening. Like 1, 2, 3. I could be wrong, but that's what this looks like to me at a glance. And then we got like a mountain and coral or tentacles or something. And this one, I don't know what this is. Like, I see trees, but besides trees, I don't know what this is.
Hi everyone, I'm Bobby Stein, Studio Narrative Director here at ArenaNet. This timeline is incredibly exciting for all of us on the narrative team. In the past, we've told a lot
Bobby has talked to me a few times. He is super nice. He's always been so nice every time I've spoken with him.
of stories where the stakes kept escalating, centered around globe-spanning, world-ending threats. Those stories have been an important part of Guild Wars, but as we started thinking about the future of the franchise, we found ourselves more interested in curating a different kind of experience. Instead of focusing on a planet embroiled in war, we wanted to show conflicts between guilds and other forces operating in this territory. Guild Wars 3 begins from a much more grounded place, during a time of rapid change.
I don't know if this is new art or not. I've never seen this. I don't know if this is brand new art or just something I've never seen.
Where magic is a powerful commodity. It's a story about Or, the people who call it
Not new?
home,
Okay.
and about the Veil Wardens, a guild struggling to reclaim their prominence in a land that's changing. Instead of fighting distant threats or abstract villains, we want to make sure the things you do have an immediate impact on the people who matter. Guild Wars 3 takes place over 1,000 years before the events of Guild Wars Reforged. Or is entering its golden age, and the
Bobby's trying to talk, and the musician's just like, I freaking can't hear him.
human gods entrust guilds to cultivate the land and protect its inhabitants from wild beasts and competing interests. It's a time of rising tensions, when magic is unobtainable by most, entrusted only to guilds that the High Council and the human gods choose. It's coveted by those who would misuse it, sometimes falling into the wrong hands and leading to disastrous outcomes. Above the dense forests and the wild plains, the shining city of Arab
See, we got this now. Now I'm wondering if this is a buried onion ring.
floats majestically against the clouds, visible from every direction. It's a source of comfort to some, and a threat to those who have fallen from divine favor. Under the city's shadow,
Who the hell are you? We got some big quadruped thing with a lot of horns here and a little human. We got some big underwater leviathan thing. Maybe the same thing flying through the sky, maybe not underwater. Enhance. I know. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Sylvari filled that fantasy role of like elf race, right? And what we know of Guild Wars 3 so far doesn't have one. And I'm wondering if there will be something else that steps in to fulfill the elfish race role. I don't know what that would be. I don't know what else kind of matches that. And I could be way off. That's just how I feel with someone who's played a bunch of MMOs. There's got to be something that fits that. There's like little guys. You got your gnomes, your halflings, your dwarves, Asura, goblins. All right, we've got that. There's the big guy, which is the Norns, the trolls, the ogres. In this case, we got Coden. We got that. There's the beast race. That's again Coden again. Coden's kind of fulfilling two things. There's the normies, which is the humans, and there's usually like an elfish race, like some kind of like skinny, lithe race that's like a tree hugger. And most games have that, and we haven't seen that for Guild Wars 3 yet. Largos? Could be, I don't know. Largos are so secretive, and they got those big wings. I imagine playing with that might be kind of annoying. But yeah, maybe. But I don't think those are Largos.
farmers tend land and livestock to sustain a growing population. But rising tensions and unexpected hardships have everyone seeking help. Most turn to the Order of the Veil, the oldest guild on Or, to aid them in their time of need. However, recent events have caused the Veil Wardens to lapse in their duties. Not out of dereliction, but from exhaustion. There's simply too much land to cover and too few hands to pitch in. We're building a version of Or that's more layered and more detailed, more interconnected than anything we've done before.
Real quick pause, again, in trying to include other folks into this conversation. So, and they mentioned layered. When Guild Wars 2 came out, it was mostly this. The first expansion added Heart of Thorns, which was, for the most part, like this right here, okay? Mostly, just mostly. They did layers for the first time there. Verdant Brink is this zone here, all right? I'm going to change layers okay? This place is a labyrinth, both horizontally and vertically, okay? It is an absolute nightmare getting around there. Tangled Depths is even worse. This is another one. So, like, those are underwater tunnels, and then these are, like, underground caverns above the underwater tunnels, and then this is, like, close to the surface, and it's just, like, there's layers, okay? So, that was the first time they did layers. If Ore has layers, then, yeah, it's going to be freaking packed with things to do if they did something similar.
It's a world that we can continue to build on and evolve in meaningful ways as the game grows, breathing new life into familiar spaces and characters, and giving you more reasons to return. We can't wait to tell you more about Guild Wars 3.
This is the most I think they've ever zoomed in on this photo. So on a previous thing, this was more blurred, and I said this looks like a Firefox or like an imp or something. And then we got like another one here that's kind of stone with some like purple flame. Its tail is a chain. That's really cool.
3, but you'll have to wait for future reveals to learn more about the lore, characters, gameplay, and systems we've been cooking up. Until then, may the Six watch over you.
And then it shows Laura. You should watch Laura next. Yeah, they're spoiling her. Let me see here. So when he said, may the Six watch over you, just really quick. Okay, so right here, it's this. For the new folks, he's talking about the gods. So there's Doom, which was replaced by Grinth. There's Balthazar. There's Lissa. There's, was it Abaddon and more. Melandru. Melandru's another one. Anyway, he's talking about the gods and goddesses. These up here. That's what he meant by may the Six watch over you. Okay, so that is everything. Pretty freaking cool. Pretty cool. And this, like, look, there's even slots in the ground. Dude, I'm really thinking that this is a hint that many of the arches are actually rings. Because, like, look, there's giant quarter slots here. So these things are in the ground and then fly up. Are they weapons? He said it was what was it he said? He's like a source of comfort for some and like a threat for others who have fallen from favor. So I'm wondering if these things are like weapons. Like they rise up in the air and then shoot hyper beams or something. Maybe portals? Maybe? Because the Guild Wars 2's travel system in the lore... Now, I mean, you can make a fast travel system with anything. In Kingdom Come Deliverance, you can click on a horse and you can fast travel to another town, right? But in Guild Wars 2, the fast travel system is like the waygates and the waypoints. It's mostly made by the Asura and a few made by Cantha. So in this time period, they won't have that as their travel system. These things, I don't know. He said horse. He said horse! So, I don't know. This is really cool. This is really, really cool. Yeah, that's all I got for today. Once again, a reminder to folks, if you go to guildwars3.com and you scroll down, you can sign up for a newsletter and beta opportunities right here. So if you're interested in that, that's how you do it. I did as well. So with that, chat, that's all I've got for this video. If you got any questions, problems, thoughts, concerns, or you want to correct me on any of the lore, I know a lot, I know a little bit about a lot of things in Guild Wars, but I definitely don't know everything. So if you want to expand upon anything I said, please feel free to do so. I will fight you in the comment section down below.